Within all of this shock and awe of the flurry of executive orders, he says he's going to declare a national emergency at the border. And it's not that they want to stop the migration into the United States. What they want to do is keep it illegal. Not keep it out, but keep it illegal, keep it desperate, and so that those workers have no protections. The struggle against this, we should remember that in 2006, there was a mass movement of millions of people on the streets in all major cities across the US to fight against an attack on undocumented workers. And the slogan of that movement is, "We are workers, not criminals." I mean, it was showing this class sentiment again coming to the surface. We could see that coming back. But you need a force that's putting this forward in class terms and says, your enemy are the billionaires in the skyscrapers. Your enemy is not the desperate worker that's out in the fields picking food. We don't need walls. We need to bring an end to imperialism that's producing these crises in the first place. Why are people migrating by the millions?
You know, not everyone who's illegal is caught, like, quote, at the border, right? They're caught inside the country. They're going to deploy U.S. troops against people inside the country? That means inevitably American citizens are going to be stopped by the U.S. military. This can create a lot of upheaval, social upheaval. Assuming that Trump, with all his policies, that he reduces people coming into the country and makes people afraid, and a lot of people leave the country, what you're going to have is shortages of labor. Then what happens when you have that shortage, right? See, people say, oh, well, supply and demand, the wages will go up. But that doesn't mean the capitalists will continue the construction or the production with higher wages, because capitalism works on profit. So if you raise the wages, that reduces the profit. That may not be profitable. It may be more profitable for them to just say, well, we won't pick the tomatoes. We'll curtail this construction. It may be more profitable for them to do that.
There is a precedent for that in the 1880s with the Chinese Exclusion Act, that the Chinese labor was doing some of the worst, hardest labor, building the railroads, in the mines. And when in the 1880s, for political reasons, they passed this Exclusion Act to have a mass deportation of Chinese labor, it actually created a depression in all of those industries where you had the labor force basically eliminated. It didn't help the working class, the native-born working class or the non-Chinese immigrant working class in any way at all. So, I mean, there is a precedent. We don't have to guess what would happen if they were to carry out those mass deportations.
What's really shameful in all of this is, what are the labor leaders doing? What is the so-called left doing? Because they're not saying it's not the fault of immigrant workers that wages are going down. It's not their fault. It's the fault of the capitalists that are using this hyper oppressed, vulnerable layer to pay them less. And what they should be demanding is full union rights for everyone, equal conditions for everyone, one big union for all workers, whether you're native born or not, and good high wages for everyone. And that would solve the issue. But instead, you actually do have union leaders that are talking about America first. Bernie Sanders himself, when there was this question over the H-1B visas, he said,
but the answer is not to bring in cheap labor from abroad to the H-1B program. The answer is to hire qualified American workers first.
This is America First, soft left version, and that's disgraceful. And that actually plays into the culture war angles, accepts the limits given by the system as opposed to battling them.
Just imagine if there is a huge portion of the American working class that is undocumented, and we're talking about millions and millions of people. If that were to unite and become part of the labor movement, you could double the size of the labor movement just like that. If you had all of those workers saying, we're going to strike en masse,